Hey guys, are you wondering whether you should take the ACT or the SAT or both? Are you trying to figure out this whole test prep game and wondering what to take? If so, stay tuned. That's what I'm going to address in this video. As many of you know, I have another video that we did a couple of years ago on this topic, but things have changed since then. So I've got some updates and I'm going to go through some of my advice. Some of it's the same, some of it's different, but we're going to get to all the reasons why you might want to take the ACT versus the SAT or vice versa. Before we get going too deep in though, I want to remind all of you to subscribe to our YouTube channel by clicking subscribe and check out the best ACT prep course ever at SupertutorTV.com. It's a video-based prep series with over 50 hours of awesome video content. And then the other thing I'm going to say is subscribe to our mailing list at SupertutorTV.com/subscribe, and we will keep you up to date of any new products that we have. If we have any new video series or books or anything coming out, then we will let you know. So let's get into this. So first, the first thing that I'm going to get out of the way is there's this common misconception that the SAT is the more prestigious test and you should always take the SAT over the ACT because colleges will take it more seriously. I just want to tell you all that's totally not true. Colleges do not care whether you take the ACT or the SAT. We will get into some reasons why you might want to take the SAT instead of the ACT, but that is not a good reason. So I'm just getting that out of the way. And now, without further ado, I'm first going to get into some reasons why you might want to take the ACT. So my first reason is, and this is the same as last time, but I've got some new information here, is if you're going to be an insane prepper. If you want to milk every point humanly possible out of the exam, and you want to do so unapologetically, and you are going to work your frickin' butt off, and you might not be close to the score that you really want right now, but you are going to work your butt off until you get that score. And there's two reasons why the ACT is an awesome test for insane preppers. The first reason is that there are more official materials that are floating around in the stratosphere from the ACT. Back a couple of years ago, there was very little material on the new SAT at all, and it was very misinformed. Now, a couple of years later, we're in a little bit of a better situation. There are some books out that are okay, but they're hit and miss. Sometimes the content is good, sometimes the content is good when it's good, but incomplete. And sometimes it's absolutely misleading. So the book situation, if you're looking at prep books on the SAT side, is a little bit dodgier than the ACT books. I find that the ACT books know that test a little bit better than the SAT books know that test. Wrapped into that idea is how many real tests can you get a hold of? For the ACT, you can get a hold of real tests in several ways. One is this out of print book that's the real ACT prep guide. You can probably find that at your local library, or you can order it online at Amazon used. The other book is the official ACT prep guide with 3 official tests and 400 bonus questions, which you get a free copy of if you order our best ACT prep course ever at SupertutorTV.com. So that together, those coupled together make up about 8. And then you've got like 3 more tests that are floating around the internet that are totally legal to download, and that's 11. And then if you have any buddies who have ordered question and answer service from ACT, then you can borrow those booklets from friends or from other sources. There are more official materials available on the ACT. There's also 2 official exams that you can get by doing the ACT official online course. I don't recommend the ACT official online course for learning strategies, etc., but they do have a couple of online tests that you can take on your computer that are officially released by ACT, so they're accurate. My point to you is that in terms of accurate ACT materials that are officially administered materials, or written by ACT and well edited, there's a little bit more on the ACT side than the SAT side. The second reason why you should take the ACT if you're going to be an insane prepper is the fact that ACTs are deletable and SATs are not once you've seen the score. So an ACT test score you can delete after you've actually seen the score, which is unique. You can't do that on the SAT. So for that reason, if I have people who are really like tooth and nail, I want to get the best score I can on this test, I'm going to fight till the end. I'm going to take it as many times as I need to take it. No holds bar. I might take it 6 times. I don't care. The ACT is the better test to do that with, because with the ACT, each score report you send 1 at a time. With the SAT, the status quo is to send all of them at once. And you have to order score choice, which is more expensive to send them 1 at a time. And so it's a little bit of a different process, and not all schools accept score choice, but all schools accept individually sent ACTs. So that's something to keep in mind. And obviously, every school has a different policy in terms of what tests they want you to submit, and you're on your honor in terms of what you submit. But like I said, ACT scores are easier to get rid of. than SAT scores. So that's something to keep in mind too. Okay, second reason that you might want to take the ACT is if you are going to be prepping in a traditional class or you're going to be having some sort of tutor on this exam, and that tutor does not have very much experience. There are very few people who have prepped for the new SAT. There are a lot more people who have prepped for the ACT in their own lives. So in terms of qualified tutors, you're probably going to, if you're going to tutoring or you're going to a class and you're working with somebody who you know doesn't have as much experience, or you're going to big box brands, again, I think knowledge of the ACT is a little bit better than knowledge of the SAT. Though this is probably more minimal now than it used to be because the ACT has started to morph a little bit, and some people aren't aware of those little changes. And the SAT has been around for at least a couple of years, so at least tutors who have experience, meaning they've been teaching it since the test was offered, they're going to be a little bit more familiar with the test than they were 2 years ago. So this isn't as big of a deal, but it's still something to keep in mind if you're going to a tutor who doesn't have a lot of experience. They may know the ACT better than the SAT. So now let's talk about why you should take the SAT. So compared to the ACT, there's less material for the SAT, but Khan Academy is totally free. So if you don't have any money to spend on any prep materials, the SAT could be for you because you can get free prep materials. There is some really awesome practice from Khan Academy, and that is the official test that you have. I recommend you not take these online. I recommend that you download them, and you can download them online from Khan Academy or from College Board. There's 8 released tests right now. They're totally free. These also have explanatory answers to them, so you can look at the explanations with them and study from those. And there's 2 free PSAT tests. So if you're prepping a ton from Khan Academy, I'm going to give you a couple of warnings. And these are things I didn't know a couple of years ago because I hadn't worked with it a lot. The first thing I'm going to say is the Khan Academy math sections are great. They are awesome practice. Sometimes the explanations are a little hard to understand for some of my students, but on the whole, the practice is awesome. There's tons of it, and it's right on point with what's actually on the exam. So awesome resource, the Khan Academy math practice, check it out, it's awesome. Now, when it comes to the Khan Academy writing and reading practice, there is a little bit to be desired. On the writing end, all of this stuff, this grammar and effective language use, all of these are 18 times easier than the real test, and they're kind of a total waste of your time. These are okay, these paragraphs, but they're not divided into drills, so it's hard to drill it down, which is kind of annoying because to learn the rules, you need to drill the rules, but these drills are so easy, you don't actually learn the rules from them. So that's a frustration that I have with Khan Academy. I think they really missed the mark with these drills. They're not hard enough, and that means you're not learning. And then the reading, here's my issue with the reading. A lot of these reading questions are poorly written, especially the level 4 stuff in history and in literature. And that makes it really hard to learn from. A lot of times they echo the weird idiosyncratic preferences of the test, but how the heck are you supposed to know those or learn those? That's a little bit of a problem. Is it still useful? Yes, it's still useful. If you don't have any other resources, go for it. And if you have a private tutor who really understands the nuance, these can be some of the best materials to prep from. But because you're studying what could look like wrong answers, that still is a little bit problematic. And that's why if you're self-prepping, I generally say, if you're gonna be a super prep superstar and you're self-prepping ACT a little bit better, still, there are resources here, and if you don't have money, the SAT is a good thing to go with. Okay. Number 2, if you're really bad with time. The SAT is a little bit more forgiving when it comes to time than the ACT, and that's that. You just have more time per question. It's simple math. It's much easier with regard to time management. It's also what I call a slow thinking test, meaning you have to deeply think about a lot of the answers to get them right, but you can use your time management to skip the hard questions, get through everything one pass, and then go back to those questions, and it actually works. When I try to do that on the ACT, I usually just run out of time, and then those questions get abandoned and I don't get them right. So you can do it on the SAT in ways that you can on the ACT. It's just much easier on time. So if you're freaking out about time, check out the SAT, people. Okay, and third is if you are not good at essay writing, at reading comprehension, and I'm going to add to this from my last video, or science. If you're bad at those sections, it can be a lot harder to improve on the ACT than the SAT. Remember, the SAT has no science section. And I don't mean you're bad at science in school, okay? I mean that you're bad at science on the ACT, and the only way you're going to know that is if you take a practice test. So you must take a practice test, and we're going to get into that point later, which is the #1 deciding factor. The essay on the ACT is freaking hard right now. The reading comprehension on the ACT is a time crunch, and reading is sort of one of those skills you learn over time that's very hard to improve. Granted, you can improve it. We have a video on speed reading you guys should check out if you haven't. And we also deal with lots of timing tips in our ACT prep series. You can improve on it, but it can be tough, okay? And finally, the last reason that I would say you can just take the SAT is if you're interested in becoming a National Merit Scholar or you're scoring in the top 0.5% of students, you have to take the SAT to become a National Merit Scholar. Not just the PSAT. The PSAT qualifies you, but then you need what's called a confirming score at some point. So in that case, you have to prep for the thing anyway. You may as well prep in the beginning. The other thing, if you didn't know, the PSAT and the SAT are essentially identical tests that are slightly different lengths. So if you're prepping for one, you're basically prepping for the other. That doesn't mean you want to completely abandon the ACT. If you think you can do awesomely on the ACT and you can get an awesome ACT score and an awesome SAT score, man, that doesn't hurt you. And in fact, it can help you at top schools. I think something like 30% of students who get admitted to Stanford submitted both an ACT and an SAT score. If that tells you anything, that's a pretty good chunk, 1 in 3. So it could work to your advantage. By the way, National Merit is not open to international students. So if you're international, ignore this. There's no reason to take the SAT then. Why you could take either test. If you're planning to walk in cold, you just need to take the test that you're better at. And none of these reasons really come into play. Number 2, if your scores are about equal on both and you're only going to do modest self-prep, it really doesn't matter which test you go with, because if you're only going to take like one practice test and go over one practice test, shoulder shrug. You really could take either test. And then the third reason that it really doesn't matter which test you take is if you have an experienced tutor, whether that's a private tutor, a classroom tutor, or you feel really good about how well prepared the person prepping you is, it doesn't matter which test you're taking. One last reason why you might take one over the other, and this is not specific to everyone, but it might be specific to you, is schedule. These tests are given in different months. So depending on where you are in the cycle, you might take into consideration when the actual test dates are and plan it out so that you can have as many test date takes as you want to achieve your goals. But the biggest thing that you should do if you're trying to decide between the SAT and the ACT is sit down, take 3.5, 4 hours of your life and take a practice test of both. If you're thinking about the essay, take the essay on both and score them, and then get online and look up a concordance table. And that's really what should be the deciding factor. If you're doing significantly better on one test versus the other, I generally recommend that you go with that test because it's a lot easier to prep your way up from here than it is to prep your way up from here, right? Logical common sense. So I hope you guys found that video helpful. So please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe to our YouTube channel if you haven't already. And if you're prepping for the ACT, check out the best ACT prep course ever at SupertutorTV.com. Thanks so much, guys. Bye-bye.